Okay, y'all. So, in part one, I talked about how I started realizing that a lot of the patterns in my adult life didn't actually begin when I became an adult. They started much earlier. And in this part, it's harder for me because before I can talk about a woman I became, I have to talk about the little girl I was. The little girl who wanted to feel loved, wanted to feel safe, wanted somebody to protect her, wanted somebody to believe her. And for a long time, she didn't feel like she had any of those things. So, this is part two, the little girl who never felt protected. Growing up, I never really felt safe. And when I say safe, I don't just mean having somewhere to sleep, I mean emotionally safe, protected, wanted, seen, like somebody had me. I didn't feel that. There were things happening around me that a child should never have to understand. There were things happening to me that a child should never have to carry. And I felt like I was carrying it all alone. I remember wanting someone to notice, just notice. Somebody to ask me what was wrong, somebody to really look at me and say, something is happening to this little girl. But that never happened. I never felt protected. And eventually, when nobody protects you, you start learning how to survive without protection. That's what I did my whole life. I learned how to hold things in. I learned how to suppress my emotions. I learned how to act like things didn't hurt when they did. I learned how to be strong before I ever should have had to be strong. There were times, guys, I questioned whether my own mother wanted me. And that's painful for me to say, but it's true. Because as I've gotten older, I've been able to look at her life differently. My mother, she had her own pain, her own trauma, her own struggles. She was fighting battles that as a little girl, I couldn't possibly understand then. But little girl Monique, she didn't know any of that. Little girl Monique only knew what she felt. And what she felt was, why doesn't anyone protect me? Why doesn't anyone choose me? Why doesn't anyone see what is happening to me? I remember feeling different from everybody else, disconnected, isolated, like I didn't belong anywhere. And when you grow up feeling that way, you start searching for belonging. You start searching for somebody to finally choose you, somebody to finally say, I got you. And I didn't understand until much later that I carried that little girl's hunger for love straight into my adult relationships. Every time I was scared somebody would leave me, she was there. Every time I tolerated something because I didn't want to be alone, she was there. Every time I overgave, hoping somebody would finally appreciate me, she was there. Every time I ignored my intuition because losing somebody felt unbearable, she was there. I wasn't just fighting for an adult relationship. Sometimes I was still that little girl fighting to finally be chosen. And once I understood that, a whole lot of my life started making sense. Not because what happened to me was my fault, because obviously it wasn't, but because I finally understood where some of my wounds came from. I spent so many years asking, what's wrong with me? When maybe the question I should have been asking myself, what happened to me? And then, what do I need now that I didn't receive then? Because that little girl deserved protection. She deserved to be believed. She deserved tenderness. She deserved somebody to tell her that she felt what she felt mattered. And today, I'm finally learning how to give her what she spent all those years waiting for somebody else to give her. That's a lot. Guys, when you're a child, you don't have the language to understand trauma. You just don't. You don't know anything about attachments. You don't know anything about generational patterns. You don't know anything about emotional wounds. You're just a kid. All you know is that hurt, and that you were scared, and that you didn't feel safe. And why isn't anybody helping me? And when those feelings don't get dealt with, that child doesn't just disappear because you grow up. She grows up with you. I carried her into friendships. I carried her into relationships. I carried her into motherhood. I carried her into rooms where I was still trying to prove that I deserved to be loved. Healing forced me to finally turn around and see her, not judge her, not blame her, see her and tell her, I believe you, I see you, and I'm not abandoning you anymore. If there's a younger version of you who is still carrying something nobody helped you carry, maybe healing isn't about getting rid of that version of yourself. Maybe it's about finally becoming the safe person they needed. In the next part, I'm going to talk about something even harder. I'm going to talk about what happens when a child's safety is violated and what it can do to the way you see yourself, your body, love, trust, and relationships later in life. So with that, guys, I'll see you in part 3. Peace.